Well, I would say there are a lot of big misconceptions about AI, but if I were to point the most relevant ones, I would say that one of the biggest misconceptions is that AI is considered to be either entirely bad or entirely good, or for some others, it is considered to be neutral and to lead us somewhere in a deterministic way. So somewhere good or somewhere bad. On the other side, I think we should really point to the fact that AI is a very complex phenomena and that it really needs to be orientated towards a goal that it does not have in itself. Yeah, here again, there are lots of important and interesting questions in AI ethics. I would say that one of the most relevant ones concerns the issue of fairness and justice and inequalities. So the issue of whether and eventually how AI systems might be a force for good that would strengthen equality or fairness, and so would also have a positive social impact rather than a harmful impact. And this is a very interesting question because it regards the role that AI might have and ought to have for ethical purposes that do not only regard the individual, but also the society as a whole. So that's intrinsically ethical because it would prompt us to question how AI can be something good, something that promotes values and principles that are good both at the individual level for each and every person and at the social and collective one. Well, one of the main factors is to take into account representative data sets already in the training phase of the AI systems. And by representative, I mean a data set that might also account for differences in the most relevant domain. And then to take these differences into account through an inclusive perspective, also at further stages of the design and development of the AI systems themselves. And the most relevant differences to be taken into account are those that relate to gender. So it's very important to have an inclusively gender-oriented perspective in designing, developing, and deploying AI systems. But also what is not less important is to account for differences that play a role at the social and cultural level, or also differences that are related to ethnicity and race, because otherwise one of the main problems of AI system that might eventually intensify or reinforce existing, or it might also automate existing inequalities, is that they would discriminate exactly according to gender or cultural or race-based features. So it's important to take them into account and mitigate them already in the design phase of the system. I think academia has a huge role, provided that this is a very complex issue and it needs a sort of co-creation process where all the stakeholders are engaged. So academia, public sector, the private sector, and so on and so forth. Academia has the task, first of all, of spreading knowledge and setting the conditions through which people would become aware of the opportunities and risks which are connected to AI. And then academia also has the role of doing research on the topic and transferring this research to the public, also endorsing, I would say, a sort of citizen science-oriented perspective. And it also has the role to train new generations of people that will also be workers in different fields. And here I think academia has also to go beyond some traditional borders and to try invest a lot in, cross-contamination, in interdisciplinarity, intersectionality, so dialogue with external stakeholders. And this is particularly crucial when it comes to AI, because what is needed, of course, is a technical competence, knowledge, and skills. So it's also a challenge for academia to rethink itself in a way that it can really offer transdisciplinary path that would really allow to form competencies and skills that are needed nowadays more than ever. Well, we need to bridge AI ethics and theories of justice, because theories of justice provide us with a sort of comprehensive, if possible, or at least extensive inquiry into what it means for a society to be just, what are the major inequalities, and how we might eventually act so as to counter them or to avoid them. So theories of justice are extremely interesting for us to have the conceptual background knowledge that then would allow us to act accordingly. So first, trying to see what justice is, what injustice is, and then try to elaborate principles through which we might fight against injustices, the most relevant ones. AI ethics has been dealing a lot with what is called algorithmic fairness, so has endorsed, so to say, a specific conception of justice applied to ethics, mainly understood as the absence of biases and as a sort of non-discrimination, which in turn is related to biases. This is an interesting perspective, but luckily it has turned out to be discriminatory under other aspects. And this really depends on a sort of narrow conception of justice applied in the AI ethics debate that would benefit from a dialogue with what comes out from theories of justice. AI ethics, in turn, can offer theories of justice a more empirical ground, if you want, that would identify the main facets and features of the digital transformation due to AI that really constitutes the environment in which justice might apply. And so this would allow theories of justice to be less developed at the ideal level and to really account for real-world transformations and phenomena, I would say. Well, every technology changes us as humans, because technology is never just a tool. Technology is also an environment in certain ways. And so we live in a world which is more and more mediated by technology, especially when it comes to AI technology. So we have transformed the ways of purchasing goods, for example. And then, of course, AI has had and is still having a huge impact in many sectors of our society, and also related to the job market, for example. I think here the point is to understand that AI ought always to be human-centered and for the good of the persons. And so on the one side, we can't deny the fact that AI is transforming the way in which we act. But on the other side, I think we should not give us what really makes us humans. We should not try to take AI as the kind of a metaphor for what is like good or better than us and try to emulate it. We should try to really focus on what is distinctively human and try to understand how AI might enhance it, so change it for the best and let us really flourish in what makes us human, rather than substituting us or depriving us from something.